The Sukhoi Su-35, known to NATO as the Flanker E, represents the absolute pinnacle of fourth-generation fighter design. It is what many call a Generation 4++ jet. This machine is an evolution, a highly refined version of the Su-27 Flanker airframe that captured the world's attention decades ago. The Su-35 is not just a fighter, it is a symbol of Russian aerospace prowess. A powerful, visually intimidating machine renowned for incredible maneuverability. When you see an Su-35 at an airshow, executing maneuvers like the Pugachev's Cobra, it's easy to be impressed. The aircraft exudes raw power, potent engines. To understand the challenge the Su-35 faces, we must first define what makes a fifth-generation fighter F-22, Raptor F-35, Lightning II so different. The defining characteristic is not just speed or maneuverability, it is low observability or stealth. This is not a single feature, it's a holistic design philosophy. It begins with the airframe shape, carefully angled surfaces, faceted edges, aligned panel lines. Those shapes deflect radar away instead of reflecting it back drastically, reducing radar cross-section. Beyond shape, advanced materials and coatings matter, skin covered in radar-absorbent materials, specialized paints and composites that convert radar energy to heat. Every detail matters. When we place the Su-35 and a stealth fighter like the F-22 side by side, the difference in design philosophy becomes starkly apparent. Look at the F-22's angular shaping, now the Su-35's conventional layout. The Su-35 is a magnificent example of aerodynamic and mechanical engineering, but it was never designed with low observability as a primary requirement. Its airframe is a collection of curves, rounded surfaces, and external pylons. It features exposed engine fan blades visible directly down its intakes and a conventional bubble canopy. From a radar's perspective, this design is a treasure trove of reflective surfaces. Every pylon, missile antenna, and rounded edge acts like a mirror, scattering radar energy in all directions, including straight back to the emitting source. The heart of any modern fighter's sensor suite is its radar. The Su-35 is equipped with a very powerful one, the N035 Urbis E. This is a passive, electronically scanned array radar, a highly capable system for a fourth-generation fighter. Russian claims detect a 3-square-meter fighter from up to 400 kilometers. The Urbis E has a wide scanning field and can track a large number of targets simultaneously. On paper, those specs are impressive. The radar's raw power is often cited as a tool for burning through stealth. But physics is unforgiving for low observable targets. Radar detection range is proportional to the fourth root of a target's radar cross-section. To have the detection range, you must reduce the RCS by a factor of 16. To cut range by 10 times, the RCS must drop by 10,000 times. If an F-22's RCS is 10,000 times smaller, the Urbis E's 400 kilometers figure plummets. Instead of 400 kilometers, the theoretical detection range can shrink to about 40 kilometers, likely less in cluttered real-world conditions. Now, the other side of the coin, the F-22 and F-35 use ASA radars. APG-77 on the F-22, APG-81 on the F-35. ASA radars offer advantages over the Su-35's PISA system. They're more reliable, they can scan much faster, and they're far more resistant to electronic jamming. Modern air combat is, overwhelmingly decided beyond visual range, or BVR. The primary goal is to launch a missile and destroy the enemy before they can do the same. This is where the stealth fighter's informational advantage becomes lethality. An F-22, having detected the Su-35 from a great distance without being seen. An F-35, having detected the Su-35 from far away without being seen. The pilot can choose the time and place of the engagement. The Su-35 pilot, by contrast, is basically flying blind and doesn't have that luxury. The stealth pilot waits until they're well within the no-escape zone. Primary BVR weapon, the AIM-120 AMRAAM. The F-35 pilot opens the internal weapons bay doors. The missile launches from the internal bay. The pilot closes the bay doors a few seconds later. The missile flies most of the way using guidance data from the launching aircraft. Then it activates its own radar for the final phase of the attack. The Su-35 pilot's first cue is a sudden warning on their radar warning receiver. By then, it's often just too late. Let's imagine a scenario where the Su-35 survives the initial beyond visual range missile volley and the fight progresses to emerge, a close-range, visual-range dogfight. This is the domain where the Su-35 is supposed to excel. With its powerful twin Saturn AL-41F-1S engines equipped with three-dimensional thrust vectoring control, the Su-35 can perform maneuvers that are impossible for most conventional fighters. It can point its nose in one direction while flying in another, allowing it to aim its weapons at an opponent even during a high G turn. This super maneuverability gives it an undeniable edge in a classic energy maneuverability turning fight against a fourth-generation opponent like an F-16 or an F/A-18. However, a dogfight against an F-22 Raptor is a different proposition. The F-22 is also a highly maneuverable aircraft featuring its own two-dimensional thrust vectoring and a superb thrust-to-weight ratio. It can sustain higher turn rates and regain energy much faster after a hard maneuver. The fight would be far from one-sided, but more importantly the stealth fighter pilot would enter this merge with a massive information advantage, having likely dictated the starting position of the engagement to their benefit. Let's paint a picture of a realistic, hypothetical scenario over the contested waters of the South China Sea. A flight of 4 Chinese Su-35s is tasked with enforcing an air defense identification zone, flying a patrol pattern. They are confident, their powerful Irbis-E radars periodically sweeping the sky ahead. Unbeknownst to them, a flight of 4 United States Air Force F-22 Raptors has been monitoring their activity for the last 15 minutes. The Raptors are operating in complete electronic silence spread out over dozens of miles, sharing sensor data via their secure, low probability of intercept and low probability of detection data links. They have a perfect real-time track of all 4 Su-35s. The Raptor lead, orbiting at 50,000 feet and 80 miles away, gives the command. 2 F-22s, designated as the primary shooters, have already positioned themselves for an optimal shot. Without any warning, they open their weapons bays, and each launch 2 AIM-120D AMRAAM missiles. 4 missiles are now streaking towards the unsuspecting Su-35s. Inside the Russian-built jets, the pilots are completely unaware. Their radar screens are clear, and their radar warning receivers are silent. The first indication of trouble is a frantic, high-pitched tone from the radar warning receiver as the AMRAAMs go pitbull, activating their own terminal seekers. Chaos erupts in the Su-35 formation. 2 of the jets are hit before their pilots can even react. The remaining 2 pilots violently break formation, dumping chaff and flares and pulling maximum Gs. The fundamental reason the Su-35 struggles against stealth fighters is not a failing of its design. It's the generational leap stealth represents. The Su-35 prioritizes performance you can see: speed, altitude, maneuverability. The F-22, the F-35, prioritize what you cannot see: low observability and information dominance. In modern warfare, that paradigm has proven decisively superior. The ability to complete the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, faster than the enemy is the key to victory. The confrontation between the Su-35 and stealth fighters like the F-22 and the F-35 is more than just a comparison. It marks a fundamental turning point in the history of aerial combat. The future of air combat is one of networked sensors, data fusion, and signature control. The fighter jet is becoming less of a standalone dueling platform and more of a node in a vast, interconnected web of systems. The Su-35 remains formidable against older fighters, but against the ghosts of the 5th generation, it has been left on the other side of the chasm. It represents the end of a magnificent era, a final, powerful roar from the age of the classic fighter jet. But the future belongs to the quiet, unseen hunters that have made the sky a far more transparent and lethal place.